Hey all, this is Bubba. I just wanted to give a quick overview and how to for how I use Anki for LeetCode studying, and then how to set it up yourself. Anki is a flashcard system that's based on spaced repetition. Basically, as you get better and see a flashcard more often, it'll show it to you less and less. I've found this was extremely helpful for me for LeetCode and getting over that initial hump of feeling like what I was doing was just kind of leaving my head. So I would highly recommend this to anyone who feels the same way. Anki is a bit intimidating, I think, and I don't think the UI is very good at all. So that's why I wanted to make this video. So just to show what I use it for and how I use it, this is what my average card would look like. This is just copy pasted straight from LeetCode. So this is the question. And then the way I study this is I have a plain English response, which you'll see in a second. And I look at the question and I just say it back out loud. And that is basically how I would explain this if an interviewer or another computer science student was like, hey, how would you solve this? So it's like not pseudocode, it's just a plain English. First I do this, then I do this. I would also then say the time complexities. So then I flip it over. Here's what the back side of the card looks like. This is my plain English response again of what I do. This is kind of the big picture, and then I say any variables we need to establish. Sometimes I'll do like a 1, 2, 3, 4. It's really whatever works. Now you'll see I do have the code here. It's nicely formatted. I actually rarely look at this when studying. The point isn't to memorize the code. I don't believe that's very helpful. But there are some valuable reasons to have this here. One is that it helps with certain gotchas, this range generator is a bit tricky, and so I just typically try to I'll look at this and try to stick that in my head if there's like gotchas or tricky parts like that. And then I also have my two complexities here. If it's not self-evident why a complexity is the way it is, I might also just write a brief sentence or two about that. And then there is a fifth space that isn't used on this card, and it's follow-up questions. That's for if a problem has a trade-off between time and space, or there's two optimal solutions, just things I might anticipate somebody asking. Typically, these are just pulled from LeetCode discussion or the question itself, unless I specifically think of one. So yeah, this is what the card looks like. That's how I study, and I'll show you now how you can do this yourself. And you'll see, by the way, I've seen this card a few times. So now, let's say I'm done with it, I got it right. You say whether it was good, hard, or easy, and that's the next time it'll show it to you. When you first add a card, it's just going to be one day. And so when you start off your deck for the first time, it's a bit intimidating. Like, don't add a bunch of cards, because then it's going to have you reviewing 20 cards in a day. I typically add 2 or 3 anytime I do LeetCode. Okay, so when you go to decks, this is like a deck of flashcards. I just put them by, this was a category, but I'm honestly just starting to do all of my LeetCode together. If you want to break it out, you can have multiple decks of, like if you want to do it by arrays and strings, trees and graphs, that kind of thing, you can easily do that. But basically, you're going to create a deck. I'm going to call mine test. And you now need to download a plugin. So this will let you do the code nicely formatted like I had. So Google syntax highlighting for code, Anki, and you go to this page, you need this number. You can also just take this number from this video. You're going to copy it, and then you go into Anki, Tools, Add-ons, Get Add-ons, and you just paste that code here, and it'll install. There's a lot of good add-ons. If you need anything else, definitely take it. So now once that's installed, we're going to go into our test deck, and it'll say you finished the deck because there are no cards. So now we need to set up our cards in the format that I had. So first thing, make sure the deck is listed as the deck you want to add the card to. Now type, if you click on type, you'll see these are like the predefined Anki types. This LC is my predefined LeetCode type, and so we're about to make that for you. So now click on manage, and we're going to do add, and do add basic, and call it LeetCode or whatever. I'm going to call mine test LeetCode. There it is. Now make sure you, oh, that's good. So now we close it, and then in this window, select it. So now we have our deck, and we have the type. Now you still see, though, it just says front and back, which is obviously not what we want. So you need to go into fields. Each of these boxes is a field. So I'm going to rename back to plain English. I'm going to add a field, and this is actual code. I'm going to add a field complexities. I'm going to add a field follow-ups. So this is what you saw on my card. If you want to add any fields, this is the time to do it. I'm going to now save this, and you can see it all fills in. So now let's take, I have this just simple binary search one, and I'm going to show you now how I fill in a card. I just typically copy paste this question. I do not take the examples because I think that's a bit nitty-gritty for what we're doing here. But if you want to, feel free. It thankfully nicely keeps the formatting of the questions too, which is nice. So now I'm going to type in my plain English after I solved it. So use a binary search. Take the resulting index for the solution. This is a fairly simple one. Sometimes these can get fairly long, and that, I guess that's okay, right? Make it what you need it to be. So now I'm going to copy the code for my solution. Now here's the trick, is you're not just pasting it, because then you get this, and I don't think that's particularly helpful. This is why we installed the plugin. If your plugin installed successfully, you'll have this lightning bolt in Python. You can change the language if you code in something else. And then you paste it. So now it's nice. And then I'm going to go complexities, and I just usually do time o log n space 1. Again, if it's hard to remember, you can do binary search is always this time. Sometimes something isn't self-evident, like binary search. If you went through 261, you would know. Follow-ups. I don't have a follow-up here, but can you use another approach? Let's just do that for this example. And I do always tag them. I would tag this one binary search, for example, in case I want to practice those later. Okay, so now this is filled out. Thing is, when you go to study, it actually won't show this format yet. There's one more important change we need to do. You click on cards, and now if you see, my back preview just looks like this. It doesn't add all the wonderful stuff we just added. So what you want to do is click on back template, and now click down here at the end of what's here, and you do add field, actual code. And now you see it's adding these fields. Make sure on the new line, add field, complexities, add field, follow-ups. And now this is all here. You might want to put like breaks or whatever here. I think it's just HTML they use, yeah. And so you can nicely format this if you want. Some people put color and stuff. Anyway, I'm going to save that now. And we add our card, and you'll see it just disappears because it's ready for you to add another. So you could just add another right away now. So I'm going to close this, and now if we go back to our deck, it has one new card. So if we study now, and I hit spacebar, we now have our card. Again, the first time a card shows up, it's always going to get you to want to look at it twice. Basically, you just hit good, and then I do it again. Now you see it'll show up tomorrow if I got it right again, and you can change these values. Yeah, that's basically it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on Slack. It's Bubba Southey-Gordon. Yeah, I think this is supremely helpful. I would really recommend it for people. It usually takes me about 5 to 10 minutes a day just to review these, And when I go back and solve these problems actually on LeetCode like a month later, I'm finding I have like a 90% success rate on repeated problems now.